webinar on Revolutionize Your Operations, Harnessing Gen and Agentic AI for Competitive Advantage. I'm Karunakar, your host for this session, and I'm excited to have you all here. Artificial intelligence is evolving fast, and today we will explore how Gen AI and Agentic AI can help businesses stay ahead. We'll have two incredible speakers who will share their knowledge and experience with us. This is not just a theoretical session, you'll also get to see some real demos of how these AI technologies work in practice. By the end of this webinar, you will understand how Gen and Agentic AI can drive B2B growth, identify real world AI use cases for your organization, gain insights into evaluating and selecting the right AI solutions, be prepared to implement AI responsibly and ethically. To kick things off, I'm delighted to introduce our first speaker, Yogesh. Yogesh is an AI advocate at Innovatech and brings a wealth of experience in enterprise IT sales and marketing. With 18 years in the industry, he has seen firsthand how technology is transforming businesses. His passion lies in helping organizations navigate AI responsibly, ensuring they innovate and grow while staying ethical and sustainable. Next, we have Apratik, a true AI expert and technology leader. He has 25 plus years of experience in technology leadership. He spent a significant part of his career at Microsoft, where he led major projects, including the global rollout of Windows 7. At Avanade, he managed digital transformation projects, including work for the Rio Olympics. Most recently, he has led generative AI teams at Accenture, helping businesses leverage AI in innovative ways. Now at Innovata, he's focused on helping businesses unlock the power of Gen AI and Agentic AI to drive growth. We are honored to have him with us today. Before we begin, let me quickly walk you through the agenda for today. We will start understanding AI priorities and the current AI powered revolution. Then, we will go deeper into generative AI and agentic AI. We will see some real world demos and success stories. We will discuss how to evaluate and select AI technology for your business. We'll also touch on ethical considerations. And finally, we'll open the floor for Q&A where you can ask your questions. If you have any questions in between, drop them in the chat box. I'll take them up during the Q&A. So without further delay, over to you, Yogesh.
Thank you, Karunakar, for the wonderful introduction. So happy to have you here. I think there is a slight, looks like there is a slight glitch on the LinkedIn page. Let me just fix it and then we'll get started again. Okay, give me a minute. One moment, please. Okay, I think it got sorted out. Okay, very good. Okay, wonderful. Sorry, everyone. I think there is a slight delay, slight issue, but I think all good. It's sorted out. So I welcome everyone. I know people from different parts of the world have joined. A few from US, few from Australia, few from Europe, and a lot of our colleagues from the IT industry. A lot of people from industry, large enterprises have joined, and that's what we could see from the response, tremendous response we received to this event. So without wasting further time, I will quickly share the screen and walk you through a couple of interesting slides. Of course, the objective today is not to bore this audience with a lot of slides, but probably we'll do more of a real world demos, and that's where Apratim is going to be taking charge, and we'll be doing a deep dive. But before that, just to set the context, let's quickly get started with a very interesting poll. And to do that, I'm sharing my screen real quick. Okay, so some parts my colleagues have covered. So before we kind of think about demos and application of your real world use cases, and understand where does Gen AI or Agentic AI fits in, let's try to find out what's really driving your AI priorities. And to do that, I have a very quick poll. Just give it a thought, the response that comes to your mind, and drop your response in the uh, direct messages. If you're joined on LinkedIn, you can just put a comment there. If you're joined through YouTube or probably some of the platform or through the streaming link we have shared, you can put us a message, and we will take that into account, and we'll try and probably spend more time on your AI priority, which is for your industry, your company, and we'll try and spend more time on that as well. So, option number one, option A, it's your boost operational efficiency and automation. Then we have enhance customer engagement and personalization. Then we have option C, drive revenue growth and sales performance. Then option D, we have gain competitive edge and innovate, because all of us, whether it's IT industry, software industry, supply chain, or for that matter, in the other industry, we want to stay competitive and stay far ahead of our competition. If that's on your mind, drop us a comment, and we'll talk about in detail in the next slides. Uh, Many of our customers whom we work very closely with, beyond all of this, they always have this key priority on top of their mind on optimizing the resources and reducing the cost. In fact, I was there at a factory just last week, and they have been driving the entire uh, supply chain using large manpower and different ERP systems, different CRM systems, and their objective is the same: optimizing resources, and if they can reduce the cost using agentic AI and Gen AI. So let's take 10 seconds, and once we have some responses, we can move forward. Okay, my colleague tells me there are already some responses uh, in his inbox. We will talk about those responses and what and how we can help you on driving or fixing or getting the priorities right in the later part of the webinar. Uh, Now, a few quick data points. Some of us are aware, some of us have come across it, but at a very I would say general scale, most of us have been using some form of LLM or Gen AI models. Could be OpenAI's ChatGPT, could be Google Gemini, could be some other solutions that are available in the market, including some of the open source large language models. So, at a very high level, if you look at the PwC and Deloitte service, about 70% employees, 70% people in industry, whether it's manufacturing, automobile, supply chain, or IT industry, have used it. One out of every six employees use it every day, and there are text-based chats, there are images and coding where people seek help from AI. That's kind of rising even faster. Uh, and the startling facts: about 90% companies do not have a formal AI policies. And that's actually a very huge security risk. And we'll talk about that risk also in the later part of our webinar. 25% companies have actually banned their employees using any form of AI. I mean, it's one thing to ban the use of AI, but people will eventually find the ways And if you don't have a formal policy, if you do not have the right protocol, or if you do not have the right priorities, your data, if people are using it through some other ways, that will be exposed to the uh, not really very secure Gen AI and large language models. And while they get smarter, your company's internal data might get exposed. So if you don't want that to happen, better to have an appropriate policy for AI and have the right guidelines for your workforce. Uh, Apart from that, many of us have come across about this fact that employees, colleagues, peers have worried about their job losses because of AI. At the same time, you will be glad to know by year 2030, AI is projected to contribute about 15.7 trillion to the global economy. That's very huge and startling number. And to go there, the AI and LLM will have to be built, will have to be made even more smarter, and the application in all the industries has to happen. So, with that, let's understand a few use cases of Gen AI and Agentic AI. On the Gen AI, some use cases we have heard about it. There are some cases on supply chain where we have worked. We'll talk about that. We can also build chatbot and virtual assistants. Some of that, if you are on Microsoft platform, some of it you already have seen through Microsoft Teams. And if you are into IT or software world, you can do the rapid prototyping. You can build the solutions or products faster. That's something that is already happening around us. Some of the benefits: unleashing creativity, accelerate content creation, reduce production cost. On the other side, agentic AI, which is nothing but the practical application of your Gen AI systems. Some very low hanging and very, very generic examples. This is not very, niche example, but just to ensure that the audience understands it, I'm just taking very few generic examples. Intelligent marketing campaign management is one. Dynamic pricing optimization, if you're a company that is into consumer products, agentic AI can help, and how is something that we'll discuss later. Automated customer service workflows, and most of the companies have these challenges managing a very large customer service team, training them, retaining them, and also kind of making sure they have the right knowledge base, right understanding of the questions. Whereas agentic AI come into picture and take care of that workload as well. So few low hanging benefits: improve efficiency, increase agility, and drive better business outcomes. With that, I will talk about few real world success stories where, as a company, we have helped those companies. Again, that's very high level, 35,000 overview, and we will do a deep dive once my colleague Apratim takes over. But just to give you a bird's view, uh, quick case studies. I'll pick up three. So the first use case, or the first implementation we did for a large Australian university, and they typically get a huge influx of international students every year, people from different parts of the world, speaking different languages, a different culture, and typically their admission help desk is overwhelmed due to number of inquiries, the issues students face with the hostel facility, campus, parking, classes, what subjects they can take, what classes to attend, what's the exam schedule, and what course curriculum to follow, all of it. So that's where we came into picture. We helped them build agentic AI, which can pull in the real-time information from their knowledge base. Also, will have an understanding of their entire admission workflow. And today, that has been running very, very successfully for us for the past 7 months. About 40% lesser inquiries, 30% higher satisfaction, and huge improvement in the overall efficiency of the admission desk without any human intervention. Uh, Besides that, we worked with a very large US based billion-dollar international supply chain company, and their issue was they're procuring goods from China, goods from Vietnam's, goods from Thailand, and also from India to some extent, and kind of moving the goods across the world, including Europe, including EU, including US. And that's where the huge compliance part, documentation, making sure everything is in compliant to the customs regulations of these countries, and all of that was happening manually. People were sending documents on emails. There was a about 50 people team sitting and going through the documents. Despite of all that, errors used to happen, and that was costing them huge amount of money. That's where we came into picture. We built a Microsoft Copilot based agentic AI solution, and trained it to verify the documentation, Also the real-time updates from EU countries, Europe, US, all of it, and trend it. How do we kind of ensure all these documents are in compliance? So faster processing, improved accuracy, and efficiency is something that they are benefited today. The third example is with a leading water utility company from the UK. Uh, and they are supplying drinking water, potable water to almost two large province or counties of the UK. So the issue was when people raise a complaint, there are times where staff actually goes resolves the complaint, but because they are so busy, they cannot come back and close the ticket. And when people call for the update on their ticket, there is no update because nobody has bothered to go back and update that in the system. Like that is just one example, but like that there are multiple examples. If there is a breakdown in the filtering system, there is no update, right? If there is, let's say, due to some issue, a processing unit is down, there is no update. So all of that was happening because of multiple ERP systems they were using, multiple utility management system they were using. So we built a system, Agentic AI, on Copilot, that was able to correlate, push and pull the data, validate the data points and tickets across the systems, and was going back with the right information. So that's kind of helped them a lot in the issue resolution, better visibility of what is happening on field, and a connected workforce. So very quick, three use cases, and now it's time to see the application in real time and do a bit uh, deep dive on Gen AI, Agentic AI, and how can it be made applicable to your company. So with that, I will request my colleague, our Chief AI Adoption Evangelist, Pratim, to come on the stage and walk us through the details and also show us a quick demo. And then, if time permits, we'll spend about 10 to 15 minutes on the Q&A. Thank you, Pratim. Over to you.
All right. Thanks, Yogesh. It's great to be here. And thanks everyone for who all joined. So I think Yogesh really set up the environment really well. So what we are going to do is first talk a bit more about some of the questions that people have, and then move on to the demo. So without further ado, I think let's get to the few of the other things that people really think about, right? So I think it's been Gen AI use case or agentic AI use case has been a pretty talked about scenario, and there are so many content and things like that. We wanted to kind of collate all that to present to you. But overall, if you think about whenever there is AI, whether it's Gen AI or agentic AI, there's one thing that really comes to mind is enterprise efficiency. So whenever and wherever you are trying to build efficiency, AI can help, right? But what exactly that needs to happen? So here are kind of uh, five areas what we think is probably really well suited and the technology is ready to support. One is the integrations that you can do across your enterprise to bring the knowledge and information that's kind of there. So if we drill down, what exactly in integrations that we can do? So you can have a personal assistant, right? That's kind of there with you all the time. Now, every day when you go to our bed, we think, oh, there are five things that I forgot about or I couldn't complete. If there is an assistant with Gen AI and Agentic AI, it will really help. So that is one area that people are really able to solve with generative AI. The another piece is, let's say, summarizing. We take a lot of documents and usually very long emails, very long meetings and transcripts and action items and things like that, right? And for any of those time consuming activities with our busy schedule, I think Gen AI can definitely help a lot. And we will see some examples of that. uh, Coming on to information search, right? It fits right well into, let's say, finding data across the system. Now, I think we have it every day. There is a file that we created probably 2 months back or 6 months back, and then we said, "Oh, I remember there was a document that I created. I cannot find it." But with AI and with its capability, you can find, you don't have to even remember what it is. It will find it and it will even give you a link to where that data resides so that you can refer that document. You can also find context relevant information. So let's say, for example, you are in a meeting, AI knows who are you part with, what is the topic that is being discussed, and it can automatically surface the information that you really need to have. Moving on to agents, right? Think about customer service, think about sales agents, think about your whole marketing operations, and there are many more. And you can actually create agents which really can bring that flavor and things like that. Oh, by the way, Yogesh, I just wanted to check: is the screen visible? Uh, the screen that I'm sharing right now?
No, Pratik.
I'm not sure.
Yes, we can see now.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
All right, very good. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm just technically challenged a bit on this new platform that we're using. But coming back to thinking about chatbots, right? Think about a customer service agent sitting there responding to your tickets. We have done this with multiple customers where they're in peak seasons of whatever that they are doing, they are just overwhelmed, right? And usually data shows about 60% of their all their queries are just straightforward knowledge answers, and AI is pretty good at doing those repetitive tasks where it knows and have data for. You can also create intelligent workflows, and we will see some demo about it, and decision making, right? Let's say, for example, there is a fraud event that's happening. AI can track that or at least anticipate it and flag it, and then probably block a particular transaction from happening or block a certain movement of file or things like that. So that's kind of the agent who sits there, never gets tired, never has a issue with getting burdened or what do you got overwhelmed with the tasks that's on hand. Another thing is kind of on research. Now, we can talk about financial analysis of your enterprise data and how the trends are, what's going, whether it's a sales data and things like that. You can also do, let's say, for example, uh, financial analysis of stocks, right? And it can go find out all the data that's there in the web from specific sites who has uh, authority on that subject and give you the research document, which ideally would take about, let's say, couple of hours or 4 or 5 hours. It can pretty much bring all of that to bear in just few minutes, if not seconds, right? You can also use it for market research. Let's say, for example, you're launching a new product. You are trying to kind of understand what the market sentiment is. You can definitely use that for it. We talked about fraud detection and on tracking anomalies. I think if you train AI hard, it's not that Gen AI by default out of the box will give it to you, but fraud detection, if you create a custom model, it can work very well with agentic AI and give you that capability, and which is probably a very important piece in BFSI side of organization, or sometimes even retail kind of a scenario. You can also do a lot of exception handling. Let's say, for example, if there is something that's going wrong with any of the machinery, any of your login access, your security, your data, right? It's moving something and it is not, which is something that is looking very regular or normal. AI can actually come in and stop access to the or block those attacks or threats and things like that. So these are usually, if you look at it, it's kind of improving the efficiency, and then it's going to kind of be working alongside you throughout the day and throughout the night, whenever you are sleeping, to get all of these things done, and so that you can do better at it, get better at it. So now we talked about the scenario. Now, how can we kind of actually implement this, right? So when you are talking about Gen AI solutions and which is kind of data heavy and all of that, I think indexing the data which is so that it's available to Gen AI to harness. That's definitely one of the primary and important way of getting there. It's also probably a easier way to give that data and things like that. Now, when we say data, it's talking about, let's say, file storage, your Office documents, your SharePoint or CMS platforms. So those data is already ready, and Gen AI and with this integration already knows how to harness that data. Uh, but if you have, let's say, enterprise apps, right? Let's say you have SAP or Salesforce or any other custom app, even a line of business app that you might have developed internally and which is hosted on premises. How do you harness that data? Because AI will not be able to understand that piece. So in that case, what you do is you implement an application integration, which is the right now the methodology that we use is RAG, as we call it, retrieve augmented generation. So given a particular prompt, if it can understand your context, what you're looking for, it will be able to connect to the right application in real time and not only get the data, if you would like to write it back, so have a two-way integration with any of the application that we have. So to kind of put it in context, think about the water utility, the case study Yogesh talked about. They had around 14 systems that were running, and to find out a kind of a consolidated view of all that data, they really wanted to, or they really had to go and check at least 5 out of that 14 data for each of the data point that they want to kind of get. With our implementation, they actually do a prompt and then say, okay, find me that data. And the RAG agent, which is sitting there, which was working with Gen AI, can give that one-liner answer for them to not visit that 14 sites and have it in a flash of a second. So that's how the power of enterprise integration and RAG comes into picture. On agentic I think it's been a very widely discussed topic, and there are so many topics that everybody is doing agentic AI. But there are two major classification, and I think most of the content that you will look at around agentic AI is basically intelligent automation, right? So you bring in an AI component inside your workflow, whether it's a business workflow or a domain workflow, you bring in that. So that's definitely one way of doing agentic AI. But there is, if you want to have an agentic AI system which is deciding for you, taking actions and things like that, I think it's becomes a lot more complicated, and it's also very difficult. So then there are multiple LLMs or AI model which go and do their job and then talk to each other, and together they decide what to be done. It's also pretty difficult to demo. So today we will demo the orchestration one. And if you are interested about the decision-making agentic AI piece of it, which is ideally what agentic AI should be, we are more than happy to get in a call with you and explain and talk about. So moving on, and before we go, and I think everybody wants to do generative AI, but is also kind of a bit have apprehension about what to do and what. So we wanted to kind of put a landscape picture for you, which is not exhaustive, but I think it will give you a picture of what's happening in the world right now. So first, there are LLM providers, and as you know, Azure has one, Google has one, and Anthropic has one, and then there are so many more, Hugging Face, and I can keep on counting. Every other day, DeepSeek came out from China, and everybody was excited about it. So models are coming out probably every other week. So deciding which one works for you and which is best for your use case is definitely one thing that you will have to think about, right? And somebody needs to help you do that journey. Then there is the orchestration piece. We talked about agentic orchestrating agentic AI stuff. So there is this what do you call different tools, and we will also see one of the tools of orchestration, which is fairly easy to work with. So you have to choose that, and then you can also decide that, okay, no, I want to go with Microsoft for that matter, or completely build a custom one. Then there are model embeddings, which is kind of is your what you call uh, the vector databases, as it's called, and you need to kind of embed or read all that data and index it into a particular structure. So that's the embedding models part of it. And then there are two pieces: the infrastructure of it and the base models, which are kind of again, there are many. There are way too many, and there's also uh, a choice between what do you do? Do you stay in cloud? Do you do it in yourself? Is security matters? There are different points about it, and we will touch about security and other concerns that people have. But some things to kind of think about when you are going ahead with AI implementation. Now, I think there's another very important question that it comes to people's mind about complexity, cost, what's happened, what do I get for what, right? Now, once you kind of get there, in our mind, there are kind of four ways to implement this. First is you can do on premises, you can go a cloud hosted, or you can go to cloud services. Cloud services means completely a PaaS service where you don't have to have anything for that matter. You can call an API or use an application like Copilot or Gemini to use that, or ChatGPT for that matter. Everybody is aware. Or you can also do a hybrid mode. So if you take all those approaches, here are the five things that we analyzed from our sense, and then this is kind of what we feel. Now, if you are thinking about scalability, you want scale on demand, the planet level scale, right? I don't think on premises or anything cloud hosted will kind of give you that benefit. uh, Cloud services is probably the way to go. So if you look at this thing from faint to darken, that means you have more control here and you have less control over here, right? So that's how the kind of line is drawn in scalability. And the pointer, as you see, is in cloud services. Now, what about control? Now, think about IT control. If I want to just shut it down or make sure every network trace that's happening, I want to have this thing or have a complete control in terms of infrastructure or anything which is happening. On premise will definitely give you that. Cloud services, it's there, all the features and capability, but people have apprehensions about cloud, right? Sometimes you don't know what it is doing and things like that. If and another aspect is new features. Think about Gen AI and LLM. Every week there is a news that this model is doing this. That model is able to generate image. That model is able to generate something else. So, and it will not stop for probably next few years because it will take some time to stabilize. And if new features is some for the scenario that you are building, if getting the newest feature helps you, then I think again cloud services should be your choice. And on premises, the effort that's involved, it's not impossible, but the effort that's required to uh, bake in those new features every time there is a release or whenever you need it, I think effort wise and complexity wise, it kind of goes up. Again, just like control on security side, you have everything on premises. And when you go to cloud services, I will not say that there is not enough security, but people have apprehension that there might be a data loss, a data security issue, or say things like that. There are some really popular models and infrastructures in cloud that are present. They basically give you their word in writing that that there is your data will be your data. But I think there are so many providers. It's when you classify them as a cloud services provider, then it is difficult to tell same thing about every one of them. And the final thing is OPEX. Now, it's a very tricky one. And we kind of did an analysis with our customer and with multiple sort of customers, and everybody's question is, if I do this, what does it cost? So OPEX is your monthly ongoing cost. Now, if you want to stay on premises and you run your servers and things like that, I think your CapEx will be on the higher side, not really OPEX. But if you want to kind of go complete cloud services, let's say, for example, you want to use Copilot and then write that, or you want to use Gemini or Perplexity UI or get enterprise chat GPT subscription, that's $20, $30 per user per month. Now, if you want to get something like Copilot Studio, that's about $2,000 a month per user. So that's kind of when you are rolling out for the entire enterprise, it's a significant cost that gets added based on our customer feedback. And this is the scale, right? Either you invest in CapEx, you might be limited by the scalability that you can reach and all of that. It's a trade-off all the ways. But given our discussion with the customer, we recommend that you choose the hybrid one, where you utilize cloud services for through their APIs and all the plumbing that they have done, but you have your own app, your own mechanism, your own custom built software that utilizes them, and that's probably gives you the best for the investment that you're going to make. Now, there is a debate, and I'm sure there are questions. So if there are, please send it out. I will love to talk about them. But I'm going to leave it there. And then if you have more questions, we can also set up another session to kind of take care of this or talk a little bit about detail and do some graphs and stuff like that. Coming from the implementation, I think this is also fine-tuning is a very important model or a topic that we want to touch upon. Now, whatever ChatGPT provides, Copilot, Gemini, or any other model, Olama for that matter, it provides, it's kind of fit for all, right? But every enterprise is probably from a specific domain. It's specifically working on a particular problem or a solution. And any LLM model does not understand those specificities. Now, it is important that you actually help them understand. Otherwise, what will happen is you will again get very biased or a very flat response that might not be fun. So just to give you understand, so what you're trying to get is better results on specialized tasks that you want to do, faster speeds and probably lower cost. You can also get consistent, and you can also take care of a bit of security side of it in terms of what data they access and how they perceive it and things like that. To give you understanding, here is the data that we got from Claude, which is the Anthropic model. And this is the result that we could achieve, that overall it was around 80%, but with the fine-tuned model, the overall accuracy went up to about close to a 99%, which is an amazing result. It cannot be guaranteed that every time it will be 99%, but if you put in the right investment into fine-tuning, you can actually get that. And also on the cost side of it, we talked about saving costs. Now, everything you write and the LLM writes back at you is associated with tokens, and tokens means basically cost, right? Now, if you optimize it the right way or fine-tuning it the right way, you can get a close to 40-50% benefit on the overall cost of consuming those LLM models, eyes closed. Now, in this particular case, it's a specific scenario, so we got to about 90, and I think that's probably at the very higher side of cost savings that we can be, which will mean a much lower OPEX cost at that point of time. Moving on, let's take an example, right? So first one is what we are trying to do is there is a guideline that the company has, and we will see what a generic, untrained, unfine-tuned model will do. Another is how much a fine-tuned model can do, right? So this is somebody is commenting, nobody is suggesting the perpetrator can be given a break. Claude will say it meets guideline because there's no bad words and things like that. Uh, it probably does not even track. Crap is a bad word that it needs to flag. But if you fine tune it, it can tell you that it is a hateful comment and it is against guidelines and it will match. So it, as per human, it's against guidelines, and a fine-tuned model can do the same. And you can see such examples. There are a couple of more, and where it's kind of somewhere it's saying it is against guidelines, but actually it means guidelines as for you. So you can do all those adjustments to fine-tuning, and it's takes a while, and it is a very important part that enterprises should take care. So now I think let's move on to the demo. Well, first one, I think what we will talk about is what Yogesh mentioned about the university case study. And so this is a sample university that we picked up for our demo, not the exact university, but they are similar in nature. So what we did for the enterprise or the university for that matter. So we kind of created a chatbot which replaced their agents, or basically give their agents a brief. So this was usually their admission season, where a lot of new students come in and they have those same questions: where do I go? Where do I go to the campus? And things like that. And where do I park? Where do I eat? Where do I stay? And time and again, this question comes up with every student that is getting admitted. So they wanted to kind of solve for that. So what we did is we created the LLM to answer that. So this is kind of how the architecture works. So they had all the documents. So we kind of put it on the vector DB. We talked about indexing and all of that. So we index it in a database, and that is made available to the LLM, right? So once through application, or even this can be somebody talking to an IVR, right? And makes a request, it can process that information, and there will be a RAG agent sitting which will understand the context, go find the right data from the database, and then through LLM create a response which is more human friendly or sounds like a human. And once the uh, response is created, it will give it back to the application or to the phone call or to any other kiosk that might be running. So let's kind of see that in action. So I'm going to bring the screen right up here. So this is University of New England. We kind of scanned there some of the pages which is public, just to show the capability that's there. And this is your Copilot, right? This is Microsoft provided. So we kind of fed all that data through semantic index and created those vector DB or the indexing. And let's see what it can do. So right now I'm opening a new chat. Think about me as the student. I want to ask the question. So I said, please give me the location and campus details for the venue. All right, the autocomplete that you saw was something that I typed before. It has nothing to do with AI for that matter. This is a general autocomplete that you will see everywhere. So let me send this question out, and the Copilot will think for a bit. And sure enough, it comes back with that information. So I only said campus details, but it was able to bring all the relevant information that's kind of there, right? It says when it is open, weekends if you want to access, if the public breaks, and all of that, right? So let's say I want to ask a furthermore question. So, okay, good. I am going on Monday. I want to know if I can park on campus, right? Is there on campus parking available? Okay. Now, important to note, this time I do not have to say University of Sydney or anything of that sort. So I'm going to send it because it understands the context. It will go and find that, yeah, so it is talking about University of Sydney, and based on that, it says in University of Sydney, there's no on campus, but there is always an option. So only a human or will do that. If you think about old scale chatbots and things like that, they had very specific answer which is coded by a human and things like that. They couldn't relate to the question. Here, LLMs can. So this is the kind of demo that I wanted to show. So what I will do is I'll go back to the deck and then talk about the next demo. If you find it interesting or if you have a question, please feel free to drop it on the chat. All right, so now let's move to the next demo. So this is kind of an enterprise integration demo, right? And in this case, I'm actually going to show you one of the products that we have. Right? It's a SharePoint-based applicant tracking system. So we kind of use that and sell that to a customer to manage their hiring platforms and things like that. So here, the scenario is it's not only talking to some data stored in some location. It actually can talk to an app. It can talk to multimodal ways. It can talk to a video. It can talk to a text document. It can understand all of that. So this is what we would like to show you in this demo. Here, a very similar thing. You again have a RAG agent, but in this case, it's talking to API to get all the information that you need. The demo that I'm going to show you is going to basically show you multimodal and database access and things like that. But you can extend it to any which way you would like you want to connect to your CRM or you want to connect to your line of business apps, you or probably the ERP system. So you can do all of that. So let's see that demo in action. So this is the application tracking system. You can see the dashboard. These are all the interviews that's there. If you kind of hover on them, it will give you the candidate details, and it will also give you all the option for what do you call it? Showing up, canceling, or canceling candidate details and all that. But we are not interested about that. So what happens is every time you put in a candidate, it goes through a AI scoring engine. So you see this candidate score. These are created by AI. Now, how does it do so? It basically talks to the database, find out the candidate details. It also talks to the jobs database and then finds out what are the requirements, must have skills and good to have skills, and parses the resume that is being uploaded for the candidate and then reads that. And then it basically creates a decision-making system where it says, okay, yeah, these are the information that is there. And based on that, it will create a summary and give you a weighted average score. So if I click on this particular person, the AI score is 8 out of 10. If you look at, this is the summary AI generated. So the candidate has 3 years of experience, .NET full stack, and has this etc. technology. And this is, it also gives you a concern, right? That he has not mentioned Angular or React because we are looking for a full stack developer, right? So it can also find out those gaps. Let's look at another example. So this is about a lead talent acquisition position, and this person also scored 8. So see, now here it didn't have to kind of, because talent acquisition is not so much about technology and every piece of it and things like that. So it gave a much smaller summary where it's kind of saying it has total 16 years and consistently delivering measurable result. That means in the resume, it found out that it has data around, he has put numbers and things like that. So that's where it's saying that it delivering consistent measurable result. You can also download the resume to see what's in there, or make your own judgment call and things like that. All right, so that was kind of the what you call second demo of enterprise integration. Cloud is the limit. I think the water utility case study that Yogesh might have spoken about, I think that's really useful. But let's quickly jump into this thing. We want to keep some time for what do you call it? The system. So this is the orchestrated agentic workflow. So here, I think what I will show you is, let's say this is talking to a HubSpot CRM. it basically does a verification. Now, this is only phone. You can add whatever verification that you have based on verification. If it's verified, it basically goes to Perplexity, where it kind of researches that information, and then it goes to DeepSeek to kind of generate some content, and finally sends a DocuSign for signature and all. So we created a lead capture form, right? And let's say I want to put in my phone number, uh, right? And let's say I submit it. So form submitted, very good. And I think I can see this number has been generated. And so this phone number did not come through. So I think I'll have to put that in. Logis, I think, right. So now I put that manually. So this is my details. And let's go to uh, the Agentic demo and then run it probably. And then you will see that it was able to do a verification, and it says it's a valid phone number. It was able to generate some Perplexity. So now let's see the output. If you look at the choices and all the things that you get, so it could find out that, okay, this is Apratim Ghosh, the current company is this thing, this is head of the product engineering. So it looks like it did not find out the right Apratim Ghosh that I was trying to get, but the email and things like that was not confirmed. So sure enough, the next of the demos will fail. But if you look at DeepSeek is running to generate, still generating a contract for this person. Now, we are kind of using a fictitious ID and not so relevant kind of data. So that's why Perplexity was not able to find out the right Apratim Ghosh. But if it did, DeepSeek will go ahead and work on it, and then it will generate kind of a contract, right? So if you see, it actually generate a statement of work, right? So it says customer name this, customer address this. So whatever Perplexity was able to find, it's able to use that data to create a SOW contract and things like that, right? And it is also putting specific data around email, and it also say it creating standard that, okay, now you can put your data, and it's creating placeholder for you and kind of generates a pretty good version. Now you can always optimize it and from the structure and content perspective based on your organization, but it will do a interesting automatic generation. It also even see when it's creating a signature field, it put my name on there. And then you can see that, okay, now the status is kind of sent. If I go back to this file, if you, or if I go to the email, let's say it sent it to the Gmail ID. So I'm going to show you my Gmail. This is not a good idea on public this thing. So you can see that, okay, now you got a document, DocuSign email and saying review document and things like that. So it works. So this is a orchestration example of what agentic AI can do. Multiple LLM models talking to each other and then working things. With that, I think I would like to take a pause and then see if there are questions and then go forward from there. The screen is visible to you. You can, there are the steps that you take to be generated. Yogesh, I
Thank
think
you.
let's get back to Q&A.
Thank you, Pratim. That was a
Anisha can-
fantastic and in-depth session. Thank you very much for that. We do have a couple of questions, and let me take a few, and probably Karunakar is also getting few questions. He just messaged me, but let's start with mine. Okay, so what do I have? I have from a CIO. What is he's asking is, what steps should they take to assess their current data infra? before implementing Gen AI solutions. And this is coming from the CIO of a retail chain in India.
So if it is about data preparation is a key. So I think what we do, I think it's also a very relevant question and a fantastic one that you need to be ready before you jump into generative AI implementations. Uh, First thing is, I think you need to do and see how structured uh, and unstructured data that you have, right? And the storage mechanism part of it. Is it stored in a particular uh, secured environment where you can apply security policies and all of that? So those readiness about structuring your data and then having it in a secure place where you can control security, I think it's the first step. And then there are data which is lying over in emails versus this and that. I think a lot of massaging or filtering needs to happen in order to make that structure in case you don't have. Just to give you an example, there was one company in UK we were talking to. They got about 1,700 licenses of Copilot, and they kind of what do you call tried rolled it out to all their employees. And as they rolled out, what happens is their security measures were not in place, the compliance measures were not in place, and everybody started seeing their financial information. And this company was a banking institution. So you can think about what actually happened. So, very relevant question. Thank you for that. I think, yes, data prep is definitely necessary.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you,
We
Abhijit, for
call it.
that pretty detailed response. I have another question, and this is coming in from the head of IT department of a company from Europe. And he asked me to keep his name anonymous, so I'm asking this question on his behalf. The question is, uh, when the AI is, there is a lot of noise and chatter, which I mentioned in the beginning, right? So how do employees and teams, the IT teams particularly, upskill themselves so they stay relevant in the days of Gen AI and LLM taking over a lot of the routine tasks which IT teams or IT support teams were doing? What's your take on that?
So I think right now, I think use case questions are really kind of being very popular, and I think a lot of us are kind of thinking about it. But when it comes to Gen AI, as long as you're working with content and repetitive tasks, I think your imagination is the limit. So I think a discussion probably would help. In retail, you can think about customer support, you can think about product documentation, creation, and things like that. You can think about uh, automatic generation of marketing content, brochures. You can reach out to all the communication, very personalized communication with your customer by researching data on them on the online or whatever that you might be having along with you. So pretty much every department will have a use case, and we just have to find out which one is fit for you.
Okay, thank you for that. We have another question, and that's on the customer engagement, right? So the question is, in what ways can agentic AI enhance the customer engagements and personalize experience across different markets? That's coming in from an e-com company on the customer engagement.
Great. And I think we saw a bit of a kind of a glimpse of that in our demo, but I think very a fantastic question and a very relevant one. Agentic AI specifically, I think you should be able to use it on those because customers are everywhere in your world right now in these days, and they are everywhere, right? It's very difficult to kind of time it with them. And having that data always ready with you before you start responding, I think makes a lot of difference. So again, the research component that AI can do before you reach out to a lead or a prospect or even an existing customer, because you will have additional data, that is something that can happen. And I think with that level of personalization, you can even talk about what recent purchase that they have made or what recent accomplishment that they would have probably posted on a public social handle or a news or things like that. So again, imagination, you can do a lot of stuff with that.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Apratim. A great answer. I do see, I actually see at least 10 to 11 questions. But in the interest of time, what we can do is we can reply to those questions individually on email, probably later today or tomorrow morning. Uh, we are almost running short of time, almost crossed it. So I would like to thank Karunakar for inviting me. And to the audience, if you have questions or if you'd like to understand in detail how Gen AI can help you save cost, uh, transform the business landscape, you know, drop us a note. We are available, happy to help you. Can get on a call and discuss the landscape and how we can come in and help you. Our email ID is sales@innovar-tech.com. And be assured, we will get back to you in 24 hours. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining in. With this, we will close the session. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. It was fun.
That's
We
fun.
should
Yeah.
do that
Thank you.
again.
Bye.